Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Today I'm going to talk about purpose, vision, and goals. Wealthy people do what they love. Bob Proctor is talking about purpose, vision, and goals. And he says, wealthy people do what they love. I've said this over and over. Why? Because it's true. If you plan to join their ranks, you have to embrace what you love. As a unique individual, you have specific talents and abilities that no one else has. You also have your own likes and dislikes. As you go through life, you try new things. You find there are some things that you are drawn to and at which you excel. This begins in childhood when each of us starts to differentiate ourselves from others. Some children are drawn to music, where others may have an affinity for arts. Still others may prefer to tell stories while their classmates are fascinated by numbers. You were born with a unique set of gifts and talents. They're genetically implanted into your mind. These talents are discovered as you grow and move through life. Your purpose in life will be drawn from this unique set of gifts and talents. This purpose is the thing that sets you apart and justifies your reason for being. It is something as unique as a fingerprint that only you can discover. Think about it. The exact mix of talent and purpose that defines who you are has never existed in anyone else that has ever lived. New and innovative ideas spring forth from this resource in you. It is why we're still making new discoveries each and every day. Your purpose is much like an internal guidance system. It directs your actions and thoughts and focuses them to create the life you desire. But not everyone knows their purpose. They may never have thought about it or considered that they have a purpose at all, but they do. If you do not know your purpose, you can feel like you're living a hit and run life. You hurry from point to point, trying one thing and then another in an attempt to make your life what you want it to be. But without a purpose to guide you in your efforts, you're just spinning your wheels and tiring out. You aren't really getting anywhere. You may feel stuck, bored, and disconnected from what is going on in your life. The cure for this disconnectedness is to discover your purpose. You should start by looking at those activities you love and are good at. But this doesn't mean that you should discount or disqualify any of your talents. How often have you heard someone say, "Well, I'm an artist, but I need to get a real job." Or, "I like to sing, but it's just a hobby." Or, "I like to talk to people, but you can't make a living doing that." You'll frequently hear people tell you what they love, only to have them disclaim their gifts as hobbies or worthless diversions. It's not true. You can create wealth from virtually anything. It's a mistake to assume that simply because you enjoy something, it can't also be your livelihood. Once you define exactly what your purpose is, you won't even have to try to figure out how to make money. The ideas will flow freely as if someone was whispering in your ear. Everything will come together beautifully. We talked earlier about imitation being deadly because you can't imitate someone else's passion. The secret to finding your purpose is to follow your passion. Look at the activities that you would do, whether you got paid or not. Think about those times where you were so wrapped up in something that hours flew by almost unnoticed. This is where you look to find your purpose. And you shouldn't have to look hard. The answer will pop into your mind almost immediately. The problem occurs when you immediately discount the ideas because of your old beliefs. One of those is the myth that you can't earn a living doing what you love. Force yourself not to disqualify any ideas that come to mind. Make a list of every thought that comes to you as you search for those things you enjoy. Another belief or reason that might cause you to squelch valid ideas is being on a track already. You've already got a significant amount of time, money, and energy invested in the direction you're going now. So you tell yourself, how can I change that? If you consider that your current path might not be your true purpose, you realize that it might require a complete change of occupation. This can be very difficult if you've worked very hard to get the education and experience required for your current occupation. It seems almost wasteful to so-called throw it all away. Think about that for a moment. What does it mean to throw it all away? Does it mean you will never again benefit from anything that you have learned so far? No. Does it mean that you will be worse off than you are right now? No. Does it mean that you're giving up? No. Does it mean that life will change? Yes. It is the change that is most frightening. The idea that you might change professions midstream is a major shift in your life's expectations. However, you must view change as just that, a major shift. You are switching courses, but that doesn't mean that your education and professional experiences won't benefit you. It does not mean that you will be destitute or worse off. I ask you, is it better to go to work at something that you love and are passionate about, or to stay in a job you barely tolerate because you feel obligated? You know, that's where I did a lot of soul searching. I was in a loyal, responsible job. I was there for 39 years. It seemed ridiculous to think about trying something new. I was only a few years away from retirement. Why would I switch trains in the middle of my occupation? I had spent years building it up. I had spent decades studying and becoming a specialist in my organization. And then I got to the point that I was not passionate. Bob Proctor says, purpose is the way. When you discover that one idea that sparks the passion within you, you'll never have to worry about dragging yourself out of bed in the morning again. And I found that to be true. Instead of hitting the snooze button and dragging myself out of bed and showing up late and working late and coming home exhausted, I totally changed my view of life. Bob says, you will leap from under the covers each morning. You'll feel the joy and exhilaration of discovering what the day will bring. This new idea will fill you with energy and ambition, much like the excitement one feels in starting a grand new adventure. Only you feel it every day. Purpose is the why. why you do what you're doing. It is the basic motivator for your life. As you set about discovering what your purpose is, it is important to understand that it does not come from outside. You'll only find it in you. Your purpose is an innate part of your being. It can only come from within. You can't ask others what your purpose might be. All they can offer is their view of you based on their own beliefs. I'm going to say that again. Other people, what they offer is their view of you based on their own beliefs. You know, when you look back at your friends, your family, your coworkers, your community, the people that raised you, the people that influenced you, each one of them has a belief about you, who you are, what you're capable of. And it might come from watching you grow up as a baby and a toddler and making mistakes in school. If you're 60 years old and your parents are still looking at you as a 12-year-old, that's how they're going to see you. They're not going to think you're capable of running a gigantic corporation or leaving your career and starting a new occupation at 60 years old or 40. They're not going to think of you as capable of doing what's in your heart because they don't know what's in your heart. It can only come from within you. You can't ask other people, what do you think I should do? Because they don't know what your big goal is, what your vision is, what you truly desire. They only know your current results and your past history. And they only know from their own perspective, their own living life, what they've gone through, and maybe what they've seen you go through. All they can offer is their point of view based on their own beliefs. Just as you can never imitate someone else's passion, someone else cannot guess your passion. Some of the people that you're closest to might even discourage you from chasing that dream because of their own fears, their own assumptions. As you look within at your talents and gifts, you must set aside any negative thoughts and any practical rationales. These are just fear in disguise. You cannot allow them to mold your future. This type of, I call it soul searching, this type of searching has turned lawyers into authors and motivational speakers and computer programmers into high school teachers. There are literally millions of people just like you who may be frustrated and bored with their profession, but feel stuck. They feel like one spoke on an ever-turning wheel, doing their duty while sacrificing their own dreams and wants. When you create multiple sources of income from a variety of sources, it gives you the freedom to fulfill those wants and desires without sacrificing your standard of living, without shirking your responsibilities. It is all about choice. Once you find your purpose, you will find a way to fulfill it. You can't let fear convince you otherwise. But what if you tried before and failed? Every single person that you see or encounter has failed. This includes you, me, Bob Proctor, Bill Gates. Any successful person you can think about has encountered failure. It is important to understand that when we fail, it is not our intentions. It's not that our intentions are at fault. It's that our guidance system was off. We're not in harmony with what we were trying, so it just didn't work. In this situation, it's very tempting to think back to things we might have done differently. This is like running the what ifs in reverse. What if I said that? What if I had done this differently? This replay of the past is a complete waste of time. The past cannot be changed, but if you constantly live in a mindset of coulda, shoulda, woulda, then it will adversely affect your future. Let's take the example of being stranded on an island with a little dinghy. Let's say you finally got up your courage and climbed into that little boat and pushed away from shore. You rowed and rowed as hard as you could, but the current kept bringing you back to the island. Does this mean that land doesn't exist or that you were wrong to try? No, you did the right thing. You just went in the wrong direction. Now, when you think of trying to get in that boat and start again, it's harder than it was the first time. There are even more doubts and fears to overcome. After all, you've already failed once. If you've tried to create wealth before through a particular business or type of investment and it turned out poorly, you must not let your mind convince you that all business is bad or that it's not for you. You have to realize that you have the opportunity to try again. And this time you have your purpose to guide and direct you. Don't let others or your past experience convince you to be satisfied with a life that is less than what you want, less than what you deserve. This will require a bit of creativity on your part. Many people find this part difficult. Most of us rarely exercise our creative thought process. This shouldn't surprise you. We're taught from our earliest days in school to conform rather than be creative. We have to raise our hand in order to speak, color inside the lines, and walk in line. We're taught to search for the right answer rather than offer creative solutions. We take orders and do what we're told, or maybe suffer the consequences. This doesn't mean that school is bad. After all, teachers must maintain some sort of order in the classroom. But it does point out how this habit of doing what everyone else is doing becomes planted in our mind. This means that you, as well as most of the people you know, will habitually do what is expected to maintain the status quo. It takes real effort to change or break free from this life, even if you are miserable. This training plants the seed for the attitude of average that most people carry with them throughout their lives. They aren't wonderful and they aren't awful. They're just in the vast gray area in the middle. Bob Proctor said he spent decades of his life thinking that he wasn't very special. Nothing around him seemed much different from what other people had, and people repeatedly told him that he should accept his limitations and conform to what everyone else was doing. It was years before he realized that he had something that no one else had. He had special talents and unique ways of looking at the world that were his alone. So do you. As you focus on your unique gifts, you will come to realize how complex and spectacular you are. Add to that the ability to mold a sculpture or program a computer, grow a healthy plant, sing beautiful songs, calculate columns of numbers, speak in front of groups, choose stylish clothes and accessories, maybe fashion furniture and cabinets from wood, or write an emotional novel. Whatever your unique talents and gifts are, all of your specific and unique gifts come together to create a one-of-a-kind masterpiece called you. When you do find your purpose, and you will, it is important to understand that it is not time to get input from others. Your purpose is just the direction, and it is still a small seed that can be destroyed by other people's opinions of what you should do with it. That happened to Bob Proctor when he first decided to take what he'd learned and share it with others. He had been working with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, who started the personal development industry in the early 1960s. And Bob Proctor had left the fire department, and he was working with them for about 5 years when he got the idea that he wanted to do exactly what Earl Nightingale was doing, but he wanted to do it under his own name, using the education and knowledge that he had acquired over the years. So he got a tape recorder and recorded his thoughts on the subject of personal growth. He was excited. Bob says, "I realized I had found my purpose. This concept energized my whole being. In my excitement, I went looking for feedback. I wanted someone to agree that this was my purpose, and it was an absolutely fabulous idea. So I called up a good friend and told him I had a great idea I wanted to share. I took the tape and the tape recorder up to his house, and I turned it on for him. He listened. He didn't say anything. He didn't offer any encouragement. He just listened. As the tape played on, the pressure in the room became enormous. It was his embarrassment for me. Eventually, I turned the tape recorder off. "Well, it was just an idea," I mumbled. I cannot tell you how depressed I felt. As I left his house, doubts and fears whirled through my mind that had not been there earlier. The what-ifs crowded in. What if I'm just kidding myself? What if I don't really have what it takes? What if I try and my audiences react just as he did? As I was driving home, it finally hit me. I was letting him steal my dream. This was my dream, and I was excited and exhilarated by this idea. I knew this was what my purpose was, and that's when it clicked in my mind. I can do this. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or what their opinion is. This is mine. Had I let that one encounter affect me, I might have disregarded my life's purpose as an unrealistic pipe dream. I would have kept building long-term visions in my head, but I would have been going in the absolute wrong direction. And on some level, I would have felt that. Even if I had set the idea aside, I believe I eventually would have become so unhappy that I would have revisited the concept and found the right path. My path. But it sends a chill up my spine to think how close I came, missing all that life had in store for me. I see people toss their dreams aside every day because of a negative reaction or a comment from a friend or a relative. If you are not on purpose, everything is off course. You are rowing your dinghy into the middle of the ocean with no idea where land is. Once you have the right purpose, you'll easily develop the right vision and then recognize the specific goals that will get you what you desire. Once you found your purpose, how do you express it? By creating and maintaining a vision. Vision is what you do with your life. Vision is the strategy behind the fulfillment of your purpose. You accomplish this strategy by creating several short-term goals to keep you on course. You can think about this process just like climbing a mountain. Your purpose is to reach the top of the mountain. Vision is much like a plan or a map. It is the direction you will travel and the terrain you will navigate on your journey. Goals are the individual steps that will get you there. You set goals that will get you to the next level. Then you stop and take a look at your map again. Your purpose is still to get to the top of the mountain. The map shows you you're traveling in the right direction. So you set several more goals that will help you climb even higher. This allows you to accomplish great things. It also keeps you from wandering around trying different things that are unrelated to what you're trying to achieve. If at any point you are not moving forward, it also allows you to step back and refocus on your purpose and see if you've gotten off course. That way you can quickly correct the situation. Don't think that every single step has to be clear before you begin. It won't. Often you will find that striving toward your purpose is much like driving in a thick fog. You can't see more than 3 feet in front of you. But as long as you know where you are going, you can make the entire journey this way, one step at a time. I've had people stop me on this point and say that they have tried. They did everything I suggested, but they're no closer to what they want. They defined their purpose and envisioned their new life, did everything they could to create a wealthy mindset, but nothing happened. They become exhausted from trying and eventually gave up. So what's the problem? Usually, they're trying to ascend the summit when they haven't even made it to base camp. They're focusing on what they want and they're visualizing, but they're not actually doing the things that will get them there. They aren't plotting the little goals and steps necessary for them to climb the mountain. They haven't created a vision or a plan to even know what those goals should be. They probably haven't even bought any climbing equipment or sleeping bags. They just want the prize. They want to instantly be on top of the mountain without having to take the necessary steps to get there. By now, you know that won't work. You must be willing to climb the slope to get to the peak. There are no shortcuts. Even if you develop a plan, you can't just set it aside and assume it will happen if you don't put any effort into it. You must be personally involved with making it happen on a daily basis. I frequently talk to people who are frustrated because their plan is plodding along so slowly. So I asked them to give me a listing of the number of hours they spent that week that were directly related to their goals. Some will say 1 hour, or 5, or even 10. There are 168 hours in every week. If you subtract out 8 hours a day for sleep, that leaves 112 hours that you are awake and able to function. If out of that time you are spending less than 10 or even 20% working on your goals, it's no wonder that your progress is moving at a snail's pace. If you're not giving your dream the time it needs to fit into your life, then the dream will never become your life. You must re-examine your priorities and carve out more time for what is important to you. Another common mistake is that people get so completely carried away with the details of plotting the goals and steps within their vision that they never progress beyond the planning stage. You'll see this frequently. They talk about the plan and it sounds great, but they never put it into action because they're always trying to work out one more detail, one more unknown. This is often referred to as analysis paralysis. They get so caught up in planning, charting, and graphing their future that they never actually do anything. This is nothing more than a way to hide from their fear. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. Get the basic ideas in place and get moving. Finally, I'll caution you not to lose sight of the fact that you're beginning an incredible journey. It is not just about reaching the top of the peak. It is about enjoying the climb. Remember that I said that wealth is not the destination, but accumulation of a journey of growth and circulation. You will meet wonderful people who will add untold joy to your life as you travel your unique path. Take the time to cultivate those friendships and relationships that add to your quality of life. Think about your purpose. That is your big goal. And you might have several step goals along the way, but don't get so focused on a little A goal that you spend all of your time thinking about that. You still want to think about your C goal and then take some action steps to move in that direction. What can you do today that will take you one step closer to your goal? Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning at 7. Thank you.